Hi, everyone. Wait. Okay. I'm laughing because... wait, hold on. This is so funny. Okay. I'm laughing because, I do these recordings on my phone. Ooh, it's 8:22. Interesting. That's an interesting synchronicity. I'm laughing because... oh, goodness. I've been doing these recordings. They go in numerological order. And for the last few days, they have not been going in numerological order. The last one I did was 187, and now this one is 215. And I'm really just trying to figure out, what the plan is here with these numbers. Do you know what I'm saying? What's the plan with these numbers? Because I just did 187, and then today is 215, and I don't know how it's going, but it's fine though. So anyways, hey everyone, welcome back to Dimensional Wellness. This is DeeDee, and I am so glad to be here with you today, exchanging some energy. Child, okay, December was wild. I feel like I've said that probably in another video too, but I'm just reaffirming, if you had a wild December, okay, and I'm a Capricorn, so I'm used to Saturn energy. I actually like it. I think Saturn energy is really tasty, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna definitely say that it was kind of acting a fool, December and January. I'm not gonna lie. What I'm not about to do is lie, okay? It was acting a fool, okay? And so I'm gonna be talking about two really interesting dreams that I had. And then since I'm on my phone, it's 8:24. Since it's on my phone, let me see if I can pull it up, because most of the time I try to pull up Google Drive. Google, if you're listening, Google Drive on Apple, it needs some work. Not gonna lie to you, it needs some work. Usually when I pull it up, wait, hold on, because let me tame this midheaven energy, okay? Let me tame it right quick, okay? A little interesting fun fact is that my midheaven is actually conjunct my south node. And then, well, I don't know if I would say conjunct. They kind of make an X to each other. That's what I would say. So my midheaven is 14 degrees of Gemini, and then my IC is 14 degrees of Sagittarius, which sits right on the great attractor, which is in my fourth house. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I never feel like I'm at home. Well, I can't say that, because as we moved to Arizona, I don't know about the astrology, geography stuff too much, but since we moved to Arizona, I'm pretty sure that Arizona was one of the plots on my IC line. Since we moved to Arizona, I finally have felt like, okay, I could possibly see myself buying a dream home in Arizona. And I'm one of those people too. And I'm attributing it also to this astrology that, if my home is not together, I just cannot get things together. The home's got to be there. You know what I'm saying? It has to make sense. It's got to be in a safe neighborhood. I got to feel like I can really build to really get momentum. Anyways, and then I have my, my north node at, what is it? Is it 23 degrees Sagittarius? I mean, that technically could be considered conjunction, right? Because I think they give you 10 degrees conjunction. But it's a stretch. It's making more of an X. And then my north node is, I think it's 23 degrees of Sagittarius. Maybe it's 24, 25. I don't know. It's one of those. So anyways, and my life is definitely like that. Up and down, what's up, what's down, what's light, what's dark, what's positive, what's negative. Child, it's all in there somewhere, okay? It's all in there somewhere, okay? Anyways, let me go back to my original point, because that was what I was trying to do in general. Oh, okay. So I was saying all of those things to say that I feel like the energy is finally lightening up. I feel like it's finally acting like it's got some sense again. So hopefully, as we're going to this full moon in Leo, I don't know, I'm feeling really optimistic about it. I just did this, I was actually looking for information on like the Medusa asteroid, because I wanted to see like what sign my Medusa asteroid is in, which is 15 degrees of Scorpio, which is fun. And then I ended up finding out like something about something called the part of spirit, or the daemon, which I thought was interesting, which mine is at 21 degrees of Libra, which was actually kind of fun because, right, my North Node is ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And I have Jupiter in Libra in the second house. And I'm like, no wonder it's so hard for me to figure out my wealth and abundance and things like that, because I only have Jupiter in Libra. I don't have any other placements in Libra. And then the only thing that I have in the seventh house, this one is really funny. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this one is really funny. The only thing that I have in the seventh house is also really big, is Black Moon Lilith in Pisces in the seventh house, right? And I'm saying it's funny because with this part of spirit or daemon, which it says that this is like, the truer essence of your spirit is your part of spirit, which is 21 degrees of Libra. Then I found out that there's also like an Isis asteroid, which I did not know, which is also at 21 degrees of Libra, which is so funny because out of all the Egyptian goddesses and stuff like that, like Isis is the one that I like don't pay attention to the most, probably. And not like in like a rude way or anything, but it just like has just not really like resonated for me to go check it out. And what I found in life, which is very fun, it's usually the things that you're not paying attention to the most, or that you have like kind of like an aversion kind of to paying attention to, that's usually like the most significant thing. And I'm saying that too because I remember that there was a time in 2019 when I was like looking on Netflix and I felt really called to watch something, but I couldn't quite get the upload about what it was I should watch. Like, it just wasn't really coming through clearly. And so anyways, I ended up on like this Joan of Arc show, right? And I got to like the very first episode of like her kneeling down and she was like talking to this voice of God or whatever. And I just, for some reason, I just like couldn't bring myself to watch it. Like, I just couldn't do it. I was just like, I don't know. And then I ended up getting a soul retrieval session probably about 6 months later. And it had to do with Joan of Arc. And when he said it, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And he was like, yes. So he was kind of talking to me like as if I knew about Joan of Arc. And I was like, dang, I really should have watched that Netflix series, because I have like, I can't really match the energy of excitement because I didn't watch it. But I at least have like a idea of who she is. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, dang, I should have watched that. That's probably why they wanted me to watch that thing. But I just didn't really watch it. And that was the same thing with like my spiritual awakening. I ended up, it was again, and they were like, we need you to watch this TV series. And it was Supernatural. Child, I don't necessarily recommend watching Supernatural if you're not already into spiritual stuff and you're not afraid of like, I don't know, I guess like darker spiritual content. And I'm gonna say why in a second, but they're like, we need you to watch Supernatural. So, I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes and I just was not really, I just wasn't really feeling it. And I was just like, how many episodes? Like, where's the message at? Like, how many episodes deep? And then it was so funny because I'm so glad that I stuck with it, because by the time I got to the end of the first season, I was like, oh, this little show is interesting. Now, this was before my awakening that I was watching that. So that was in 2012. I was watching this, like, early 2012, late. Wait, hold on, because... Hold on, wait, because the timelines are doing a weird thing right now. And that's how you start catching the Mandela effect, because the timeline is doing a weird thing right now. Because it couldn't have been 2012. Hold on. When did I watch that? Ooh, child, I don't even know. I'm going to come back to it, though. When it's 8:33, almost 8:33. Okay. Anyways, I'm glad that I stuck through it, because by the time we got to, like, the end of the second season, I was hooked, and I was like, oh my gosh. And anyways, I was bringing up that it was before my awakening, because by the time I got to, like, the third and fourth season, I remember there's a specific episode that I'll probably find it and link it if you want to watch it, where they get to Metatron as the scribe of God. And there was something about seeing that kid, I think they call him Kyle or something like that in the series, I forgot, but he's like this like young Asian guy. When they get to the scene of where they actually meet him, and he's like sitting and he's talking about how he like writes people's lives, and then it happens because they're trying to like get him to rewrite their stories. That was like a mini awakening for me at that moment. Like, at that moment when I saw it, there was something about it that I was like, this series is real. And I don't know in what way it's real, because they talk about tulpas, they talk about golems, they talk about, a whole lot of astral entities that, you know, if you've never heard of these things or really like have gone into mythology and stuff like that, you just probably might think that they're just like making up names of things, but these are actual things that, child. And so when I saw that, I was like, wait, and I had not heard of a Metatron at this point. I want you to understand, I had not heard of a Metatron, Archangel Metatron at this time. But when they said Metatron and that he was the scribe of the gods, and he wrote your, like your life story, I immediately, it was like something in me had a remembrance of this. And I was like, oh shoot. I was like, I need to really pay attention. Like, at that point I was like, maybe I need to be it activated my scribe. I'm like, I need to be taking notes on this, because something about this, I don't know in what way this is true. I don't know who this Metatron is, but this stuff is real. And then I got to like season 7, and then season 7 is like where I took a break, because I was full, child. Spiritually speaking, I was full. It was a lot to take in. And then I had the awakening sometime in the midst of me watching season 7. And then it took me about, I'd say probably like 2 or 3 years to come back to the series. And by that time I was like, well, I can't watch too much of this, because, you know what I'm saying, if you're really sensitive, you can start having a lot of activity in your house watching certain stuff. And so I was like, woo, okay, look, because I done gone all around the world. Ooh, child, okay, let's focus and let's bring it back, because we're 13 minutes in right now, and I have been going all around the world, okay? Okay, anyways, let's get back to what I was talking about, because I kind of forgot why I was even bringing that up. But I will say this, though. I know. I will say this, though. I was also watching Teen Wolf at this time, and Teen Wolf is on some whole other stuff, too, especially with the Namatok tree. Oh, and then the Banshee, like, and I'm not going to, like, really spoil it unless you haven't watched it. It is a gem of a show. But especially when we find out who the Banshee is, like, her scream literally sent chills throughout my whole entire soul. And I was like, I come from a family of Banshees. I know that for a fact. So anyways, craziness. And then I was also watching Vampire Diaries, and, I didn't feel as much of a resonance like that I've been a vampire before. I mean, you never say never. And, you know, of course, not in the sense of, like, literally sucking people's blood or whatever. But There's a very interesting book that I've found on Bibliotheca Pleiades, one of my favorite websites to look up things. And there's a book on there, which is just a book in general, and I think it's called Transylvania to Turnbridge Wells. And it talks about the vampire, the umpire, the Uber, the blood witch. So it's very interesting. But let me get back to what I wanted to talk about today, because this was pretty interesting. So I'm gonna see if I can open up the Google Drive to get the specific date that I had these dreams. Oh gosh. Okay, Astral Dynamics. This is the wrong one. Okay. Okay. It was definitely in December. I've got all of these books on here too. Okay. Okay. Yeah, December. Okay, let's see. Now let me see if this little search thing is gonna work, because sometimes it doesn't work that well. Ugh. Okay, let me see if I can just guess what day it was. Maybe it was like December 17th or 18th, possibly. Let me see if I can just do a little scroll. Let's see. And just stumble across it. Sometimes that works. Segment. Hiking. Okay, let me see. The Secrets of the Skeleton. And that's so funny, because on December 18th, I had a dream where I was talking about like a whole bunch of stuff. And then I wrote down here, then they took out my Isis name from my body, because I remembered that I am not Isis. I am someone else. And I couldn't quite remember the name, which is funny because I told you that. Oh, that was the other thing that I was going to say. So my part of spirit is 21 degrees, 21 minutes. Okay, it's a double 21. 21 degrees, 21 minutes of Libra. And then my Isis is sitting right on that, which is really funny. At 21 degrees, like 15 minutes, something like that, but they're right on each other. And then my actual Lilith asteroid, I believe, because we have Black Moon Lilith. And then I think that there's the Lilith asteroid, which is at 23 degrees of Libra. So they are all conjunct each other, which I thought was real interesting. So I'm gonna have to go back and really figure out what the stream was talking about. Okay. Oh, that was that day? Oh, see, I didn't know that was the same day. Wait, hold on. No. That's a different day. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me see. I gotta scroll through all of these notes that I took. It's so funny because when I started, it was 8:40. I've been seeing that everywhere. When I first started taking notes and everything, I had like 70 pages of notes. And I think in October, I did like 600 pages of notes, child. Okay, so that was CBU, BCU. Okay, let me see. I definitely remember that dream. Yuckington. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to check like a few more days, and then after that, I'm just going to put it in the description box. And I like to say the days because they turn out to be really significant. I gotta lie to you. They turn out to be really significant a lot of the time. Okay, I said I was gonna check one more, but I'm gonna check one more. This one, I think I had this way before Christmas and stuff. Yeah, I think it was like early December. It must have been early December. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just have to, excuse me. I'm going to have to, ooh, I forgot that one. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just have to put it in the description because I can't just like find it, and that's fine. So anyways, we're gonna talk about it. Okay. So there was a day in December where I ended up having this very interesting dream. Okay. So in this dream, I ended up, I'm pretty sure, in the Grand Canyon. I'm pretty sure that's where I was. It was definitely Arizona, definitely what we consider to be a desert area right now. I'm pretty sure it was the Grand Canyon, though. Pretty sure. And so the interesting thing about it was that, and this like really was like freaking me out in the dream, but I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do about it right now, so I have to just like go with it. And the freaky part was that this area, even though it was the Grand Canyon, it was also like, it wasn't just desert anymore. It was starting to fill up with water again. And so the interesting thing is that I somehow was placed in the middle of this, I'm trying to see how to describe it. So it was like an underwater cavern system. That's what I could say. Okay, so it's like it had water, okay, and then there was a very thin strip of rock, like a rock structure, okay, a very thin line between these two craters on either side, and they were deep water cavern craters, okay. And I remember that it was like black, white, and gray, kind of gravel, kind of, I don't know if I would call it sand. I don't actually know what it was. I don't know. For some reason, I want to say that it was like granite. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Do you find granite in the water? I don't know. Let me just look that up right quick, because for some reason, I want to say that it was granite. I don't know. Let me see. Let me look it up right quick and let me see. Well, it says, can water ruin granite? Oh, look, this is February 17th. Interesting. I just saw 217 on a car just now, too. And then I saw CNN on a car. I see the most interesting license plates. I saw some. What else did I see on a car today? And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I saw Barry. Okay. Like, where do you find granite? Granite is found mainly in Texas, Massachusetts, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Georgia. Natural stones produced at 276 quarries. Okay. I don't know. Is there a type of granite found or used to be found in Arizona? Okay, so the Santa Catalina Mountains north and northeast of Tucson contain the wilderness granite, which formed as an intrusion 14 miles below the surface. granite rock exposed at the Dells is Proterozoic in age, 1,400 MA. Okay, so I'm going to do some research on it, and then when I find it, I will definitely link it, because that's the first thing that's coming to my mind. But of course, I'm not like a geologist, and so probably I'll look for the granite, and then that'll probably lead me to what the actual substance was. But this was very much like some type of like rough, and I can't even call it rocks, because they weren't really like rocks. They were like tiny pieces, I don't know, of granite. That's what it like when I looked at it, that's what I thought. And like I said, they weren't it wasn't sand colored or anything like that. It was like black, like almost like volcanic rock, but not exactly like obsidian. It formed differently. But anyways, that's what the whole, like, I guess what we would think would be earth and rock, it was actually this granite type of rock was the whole bottom structure of these deep water caverns. So they were like these deep, huge caverns, and not just like caverns you can go into, but just like really deep down, and it was like a full semicircle kind of situation for miles and miles and miles. And it was the same on the other side. So I was on the strip of land in between that was closest to the water surface. So where I was standing, it was hitting, like the water was like hitting my ankles. Okay. And so anyways, I was holding these 2 gray shoes, and these gray shoes are going to be significant. Now, I don't know the overall significance, but they're going to be significant though. So anyways, as I was walking, because it was almost like a tightrope, because the strip of, I'm just going to call it land, even though it wasn't really land. I'm going to call it land. This tiny strip was like a little bit smaller than the width of my foot. So that's why I was like really freaking out, because like there was nothing else out there. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I even get here? Where am I supposed to even be going? Because it's like whoever placed me here, or if I jumped there, I don't know how I got there. It was kind of like I was already in the middle of this, let's say we're just going to call it land bridge, even though it wasn't quite a land bridge. I was already in the middle of it. And so I was like, okay, I have to go either forward or I've got to go back. And it was so much water and expanse that I couldn't even pick a direction, because it was going to be a long walk either way. But some type of way, I had a gray shoe on my right foot, and I was holding the left shoe in my hand. And then, child, the shoe fell out of my hand on the left side. So it was like slowly tumbling down this crater kind of situation. And like the waters were crystal clear. And I want to say that because the waters, they were crystal clear. So I could see just how deep it was. Okay. And so the shoe kind of started tumbling down and down. And I almost was like, oh, I could just reach over and grab the shoe. And then I was like, no, because water is tricky. Because even when it's clear and you think that you can judge the depth of it, you can't. And then the thought that came into my head was like, someone is trying to lure me into this water. That was my first thought. And then afterwards I was like, that's an interesting thought to think, because I don't see anybody else out here. But then I was like, well, it is reality. So I'm like, okay, well, regardless if they try to lure me into this water or whatever, I'm not going. I'm not going down there. I'm like, okay, well, the shoe is just lost, okay? Now, the funny thing is, and it's 8:51, the funny thing is that the next thing I know, reality went dark for a second, and I ended up underwater anyway, which I thought was very interesting, because I was conscious of this fact. And the next thing I know, I ended up underwater, and there's like a specific movie or TV show that I have seen this scene from right now, and I feel like it could be like He-Man possibly or something. It's like a TV show that I've only seen in passing, but I feel like I've seen this particular scene before. So anyways, I knew that I was in like some underwater kingdom, and there was a celebrity who I want to name him Rob. Okay, this is not Rob Kardashian. I'm just gonna name this guy Rob, and maybe he was trying to rob us. I don't know, but that's the first thing that came to mind. So I'm not gonna say the actual name. I'm gonna leave a little bit of discretion. Okay, and I'm gonna call him Rob. Okay, and Rob, I will say Rob is a comedian. We'll say that Rob is a comedian. Okay, and so I'm in this underwater kingdom, and I'm guessing that it didn't seem like Rob was like the king of this underground kingdom, but he had access to, like, let's say the king's domain when the king wasn't there. That's the vibes I got. Like, you know how you have people like who clean up a space afterwards, and then if like they're really cool with the boss will let them use the space just as long as they like clean up afterwards. That's like the vibe that I got. Like, and not downplaying Rob, that, you know, he's not significant. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that was the vibe that I got. So I knew that this was not his kingdom, but he had access to use it when the king was not around. Okay. And so the interesting thing that I thought about this is that this was definitely like in a cavern, like in a cave. And we're definitely underwater, but this was like an air pocket though. So there was no water in this particular area, but I knew that we were actually underground in these caverns or whatever. So anyways, so it was like me, and then there were 4 other women. I can't exactly remember. There's like me and 3 or 4 other women. And then there was Rob. And there was one other guy, but he was kind of like in the background, so I don't really know like what he was doing there, but I do remember him. And he was kind of like I guess like his vibe was kind of like a hype man to Rob, I guess. I don't know. Like a hype man to Rob, because it seemed like Rob was trying to be polyamorous. Okay. And so there was a woman there that is connected to Rob. And she was there, and I remember thinking like, oh, I didn't know that they were polyamorous, you know? And it was almost like he was, I guess, trying to like audition me to see if I wanted to be a part of his kind of like, you know, polyamorous family, I guess. I don't know what you call that, you know, sister wife situation or whatever. And so sometimes I just kind of like, I wouldn't say play along, because I'm not going to pretend to be like interested in a polyamorous relationship or whatever like that. But I was just kind of seeing where he was going with this, you know, because a lot of people, like, you know, I've noticed in life do like a lot of talking, and sometimes I really, really talk, and then sometimes I just like to listen. I just like to be in the background and kind of see how things play out. So I just kind of seeing, I wasn't really saying too much and everything like that. So anyways, I noticed that Rob's kind of technique of getting everyone on the same page of adding a new girl, which would be me, adding a new girl to this kind of mixture of energies, I guess, because it didn't seem like they were in a cohesive polyamorous relationship already. Do you know what I'm saying? It seemed like he was just kind of testing the waters with it. So like his known girlfriend was like obviously uncomfortable, but you know, she wanted to kind of be like the ringleader of the women. And then the other women were there, but I don't know what they were doing. I couldn't really get like a feel for their energy or whatever. But anyways, I know that he was like just kind of testing this stuff. So as I was kind of listening to him talking to them, his kind of tactic of like bonding everyone together was by like playing on each woman's weakness, right? And then highlighting a main woman that everyone should be like, where you know, like you have one girl who kind of comes in and that's the one that you hyper focus on, like the ideal person, which is usually not their main person. And then they usually have some type of feature or traits that none of the other women have. And I noticed that he was like, that was kind of his method, was playing on everyone's insecurities, which I thought was very interesting, because I was like, if you really know women, like I don't know if he heard that from like a, you know, a dating coach or like polyamorous coach or whatever, you know, but I was like, that's only looking at women like in one kind of layer of life, because eventually women either find other women who start hyping them up about what their insecurities are and being like, you know, F that man for, you know, trying to make you feel bad or whatever, or they just slowly come to, and some women it take a while. Some women it takes a while, okay? But I've noticed that, and I mean, some women never get to it. This is also true. Like, so, like the spirit was like, some women never get to it, which is facts, unfortunately. But I would say a lot of women, you know, do come to like on their own of just like, I don't have to deal with this. And so I was like, this is a very dangerous game that he's playing here, because, you know, when you kind of dangle something in front of someone that they can't achieve, but you're saying that that's what you really, really like. And so since you can't provide it for them, they're going to get it somewhere else, but they want you to still stay there. You know, some women do have the personality to just accept that they'll never be what you want. And then whatever you're offering them, just will go out the window, because like ultimately I feel like there are a lot of women where, you know, they're more interested in connection, you know, money. Like some women are like, I'm on money and I only care about money or whatever like that. But that's only really a thing like until you find someone that you could really, really vibe with and they also have money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, money is sure, you know, for some women, maybe that might be a motivating factor, especially if they grew up really poor, they grew up, you know, in the system, or, you know, unfortunately, certain women, you know, get into stripping and things like that really young, which is a whole nother issue. But it's really only a factor until they find someone that they really connect with who also happens to have money that they wouldn't mind sharing. And then, like, the whole thing that the other person with, like, no class and no morals and no standards, and the only thing they have going for them is money, is just not, it's just not what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So anyways, I ended up having that dream, and I didn't really know why, because, you know, I don't really listen to or watch this comedian person, but I was like, okay, let me just wait it out, because, you know, usually Ray and I, or have a friend or something like that I'll discuss dreams with, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I dreamed about X, Y, and Z or whatever. This one I decided to just kind of keep to myself, because I was like, okay, let me see if it pops up in another way for someone else, and I'm just not going to mention it. So I sat on it, and child, how come? And it must have been like 2 or 3 days later. I'm gonna go back and put the actual dates or whatever, but it must have been like 2 or 3 days later. Ray ends up having a dream, okay, about the same comedian, okay? And so in his dream, he was supposed to be meeting up with this comedian in order to just like meet each other, kind of vibe with each other and stuff like that, you know, and maybe see if there is a way that they could come together and, you know, do something for the people, for inspiration and stuff like that, you know, and do something like on a public platform like Instagram or something, you know. So they're planning to like meet up, kind of fill each other out or whatever. And so Ray pretty much said that there was like a person that was with him who he kind of recognized after the dream that was actually like making the energy weird to where he couldn't get to the place that this Rob had designated for them to meet up. So Rob wanted Ray to come to Rob because he had his group and he had a show somewhere. And so he thought, you know, of course it would be better for him and Ray to meet up at his show. And so he said that there was like this energy that was kind of masked that was making it very difficult energetically for him to get to the place to meet up with Rob. He said there was also like this huge convention or something like that, or I think it was a hockey game, something like that going on, to where they just, like, he just couldn't get to the place. And then he said that there was a woman that showed up, and this woman was trying to get him to give her the keys to his car so that he could like park, like she could get the car so that they could drive to this space, but the space wasn't that far away, so they could have just walked. But he said he was so frantic and he was so ready to get to this place that he didn't really think too much of it, and so he gave her the keys to the car, right? Which I thought was interesting. And it also wasn't our car, which was another thing. Like, it wasn't our actual car. It was another car. It was an unidentified car. So he gave her the keys to this car that he wasn't recognizing was the actual car, which is probably a good thing. Then he said that she ended up coming around, I think, with the car. Or something like that. And then like another woman appeared, a different woman appeared, and this woman was like, let me count your money for you while we go over to this place. So again, there's another woman that's popped up, a different type of woman, who's helping him out with something else while he's in a state of unawareness because he's so focused on getting to this person. Then he said that he got out of the car. It was very crazy chaotic like this. Like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna probably, like, you know, type in some of the things that I'm missing, because I know I'm not saying it all the way correct, but this is like the gist of it, okay? And then he said he got out of the car because something happened, and so he was like, we might as well just walk. And so he said as he was walking, then he met up with someone and they were like, yeah, let's go to the place. I can get you to the place. But he already knew where the place was. But anyways. And then while he was pulling up to the place, he knew that they had left from the original place. So he went to a bar to go sit and wait for a phone call so that they could try to meet up. And he said that he could pretty much see the comedian talking to his friends like, oh, you know, this person's taking a long time. I don't know if they're really serious about meeting up, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like convinced to go somewhere else. But then he said that he felt like the comedian was going to reach out, like, just in case I'm wrong, let me like reach out. So he said that he reached out, and he was talking to the guy on the phone, and he said that for some reason he asked the guy for some shoes, that he needed some shoes. And so they planned to meet at this bar instead. So now the comedian was going to come to him at this bar, because they had, in fact, left the other place they were going to originally meet, where his show was, okay? And so so he said that he waited there, and then there was another woman who came in, which I thought was interesting. There's another woman that came in, and she was kind of like ushering Ray to like the VIP section of this bar kind of situation, because the comedian was supposed to be coming in and they wanted to like clear the atmosphere, make sure that it was only them and Ray in there, you know, so they could have like some privacy and stuff like that to like talk or whatever. So there's another woman who was like ushering him into a space or doing something. So then he said that when the comedian got in there, it wasn't actually the comedian, that it was this other rapper. And then he said that when he saw that rapper, this rapper was like wearing a mask. And I believe it was one of those Venetian masks, like those white masks with like the mustache and stuff like that. Those masks are a little bit creepy, I'm not gonna lie. But he was wearing like a mask, but Ray said that he knew who it was by his voice. And then the guy, you know, the rapper who I'm going to call, I don't want to call him Sparky. Why do I want to call him Sparky? I mean, the names are interesting. That's like a puppy name. I don't know. okay, we're gonna call him Sparky. I don't know. We're gonna call him Sparky. So anyway, Sparky. I have no clue why I'm associating him to Sparky, to a dog right now. I don't know. But that's what popped in my mind. They were like, yeah, call him Sparky. So anyways, sparks are fireworks, lights too, sparks of consciousness, maybe. I don't know. Interesting. So anyway, he realized that it was Sparky. He could hear that it was Sparky by his voice. And so Sparky was kind of like surprised, because I guess he was trying to do like some type of like voice, not shielding, but you know what I'm saying, like something to make it where you couldn't tell that it was him. And then he actually asked him, he was like, you could hear my voice? And Ray was like, yeah, I know it's you, Sparky. I know it's you, Sparky. And so anyways, so they, were about to go to this VIP section or whatever. And then that's when Sparky handed him the shoes. And he said that when Sparky handed him the shoes, he knew that the shoes were for me. That Sparky did not come with shoes for him. That Sparky was actually bringing the shoes for me. And do you know that the interesting thing is that the shoes were gray, and they were gray Yeezys, which I thought was very interesting. So I'm like, what does Yeezy have to do with this? Even I'm going to look into this rapper, because I don't know this rapper's connection to Yeezy either. And then I actually like looked up gray shoes, because I was like, these are not like just normal looking gray shoes. Like, they have a very specific look to them. And I was like, did they look like this? And I described the shoe that I had seen in my previous stream like 2 or 3 days ago. And it was the same exact shoes. I kid you not. It was the same shoes. And I was like, wow, those were Yeezys. And why would I need Yeezys to get into this place? Or why are they trying to lure me into this place with Yeezys? So anyways, after that, he was like, I'm gonna have to give them to her later. But he was also like, wait, where are my shoes at? Because they were obviously shoes that Sparky had brought for moi. And so then after that, he said that, now I can't remember the transition to this, because then he ended up seeing a famous actor who we're going to call Diesel. That's the name that came to my mind, Diesel. And then Diesel was like, this is how you get your money. He was like, I like you. I've been paying attention to you since this event. Now, this event is an actual event that Ray did go to a few months ago. And he was like, I heard about you. People have been talking about you. He was like, I like how you move. I like what you're talking about. And he was like, this is how you get your money from the industry. And Ray was like, he was like listening to him, and he was like, Diesel just kept saying, this is how you get your money. And then like eventually Ray caught on. It was like, oh my gosh, I left my money with that woman. I left my keys with that woman, that other woman. He was like, I need to go get my money, because it's not just about connections, right? Now, the interesting thing also about this very interesting synchronicity of dreams is that I end up having, I'm going to try to stick with the names that I call these people. So, Bart Simpson. And it was so funny because I saw The Simpsons twice today. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I see it. Cool. So I ended up connecting with Bart Simpson today. I still don't know why he wants to be called Bart, y'all. I don't know. Because he actually came and was like, he wanted to be called Bart. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it's a thing. So anyways, I was connecting to Bart. And there was a guy that I came across. And his name is Cody ITC on YouTube. And he has this very cool setup of like, what do you call it? Spirit boxes to like capture, spirits' voices. Now, the thing that I really like about his specifically is that he has it tuned to a frequency and has just enough reverb that you can actually see, like, you can actually hear what the spirits are saying. Now, I mean, it's also like something that you still would have to like listen to, like if you've done spirit box apps and stuff like that. Like it's hard to pick up on what they're saying, which is why a lot of people record it and then they go back and listen to it, because it's really hard to pick up on. But it's kind of like song lyrics, right? From someone that you have really listened to. Sometimes it's hard to hear what they're saying until you see the lyrics, and then you can interpret what they're saying. And then in their next songs after that, since you understand like the tone and inflection and, maybe their, cadence of how they talk, and then maybe like some of their cultural or, influences, how they speak, and then the next few times you hear them, then you can interpret what they're saying. It's very interesting how the brain works like that. So anyways, that's how it works with like spirit apps, spirit boxes, things like that. But he has it tuned with enough reverb and things like that to where you can pretty much hear not just like what they're saying, but some of them you can actually hear their actual voice, right? Because with a lot of spirit boxes, they pre-program them with like computer voices. I mean, some of them do it just like to be creepy or whatever, but so even when you're hearing the voice of the person, you're not hearing it actually in their voice. But some of the people that come through, you can tell it's them because it sounds like their voice. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a thing because this is a wild world, and if it ever comes out that Cody ITC, like if it's like, not real or anything, that's definitely going to be a ding for me. But I do believe that it's possible regardless if, what he's not doing is real, because I've seen certain people, spirit boxes debunked. Now, I've had personal experiences with ghost apps, and they always try to make them look so spooky and stuff like that. I had an experience back in 2018 where this app was so on point that I just uninstalled it. And I was just like, nah, I thought I was ready for this, but clearly I ain't ready for this. I had the spirit box tell me my biological mother's name. Then right after it said my biological grandmother's name. And then right after that, it said my husband's name. And then it even said like the month that I was born. I'm pretty sure it was the month that I was born. And at that point, I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, it even gave me its name. And this is why I knew that like that particular app was really, really good, is because it even told me its name when I was like, who's talking to me? It gave me a first name and a last name, child. Now, some of those spirit apps, you can like ask questions and it doesn't answer. And that's how you know that like, I still believe that a spirit could utilize it, but it might be harder because it could be pre-programmed to just say things randomly. So it'd be kind of hard. Like the spirit probably have to play with it for a while to kind of rewrite the programming of the app. I still believe that you can use whatever apps. But this one, I knew that it was actually just picking up things that were going on in the atmosphere. It was wild. Okay, I ended up having like a really crazy experience after that, which I'll probably talk about at another time because it's a whole another situation. But anyways, so while I was listening to Bart Simpson and he had come through to speak to this person, Cody ITC, it led me to JFK, and I'm gonna link this one because this one was so deep and so interesting. But, they're asking JFK about certain things or whatever, and, certain conspiracies. And it seemed like he was pretty much saying that, it wasn't a whole lot, of conspiracy to his death, even though there were certain things that he knew that people did not want him to know. But from what I got from it, I'm gonna have to watch it again, but from what I got from it is like, it almost was like it's not really conspiracy, like all of these different conspiracy aspects. It's like, there are certain things that you can't talk about, and when you talk about it, you expect that something's gonna happen. So at that point, it's not really like a conspiracy, it's just like, it comes with the territory that's That's what I got from it. Now, I definitely going to go back and listen to it again. But one thing that what I did find interesting is that Cody was like, is there anything that you can tell us about the aliens that, you know, is top secret or something that you feel like the public should know? And this, I almost fell out of my chair when he said that. It was 9:17. I almost fell out of my chair when he said this, okay? And that was like another confirmation to me that, you know, I really believe that even though I call these dreams, I'm pretty sure I'm astral traveling. And I'm going to get into probably at another date why I believe that I'm consistently astral traveling instead of astral projecting. That's a whole another story. But I'm pretty sure I'm astral traveling. And so when I hear these different things in reality and it reaffirms to me like, okay, what I was dreaming about is based on something in reality. Whether it's a manifested reality or not isn't necessarily the point, because whatever is going on in the astrals, in some type of way, it can manifest into reality. Sometimes it manifests exactly how you saw it. Sometimes, because you are a part of the pre-manifestation, it can actually shift how it shows up in reality, right? And that's when you have negative experiences or you see something negative, right? You want to shift it. And so you hope that you're shifting it in the astrals. Anyways. So the next part, you know, he was like, you know, what can you tell the public about aliens and stuff, right? And what he said was, what he said was that the aliens were here first. They were here before humans were here. That the humans came later on to Earth. That we were, I won't say we, because everybody is not exactly the same. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, I'm an alien superstar. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that what I have learned is that human is more of a body, more of an avatar to a certain extent than it is to say that we are all a part of the same human construct. That's more of what I'm saying. There are certain people that are in human bodies that have DNA and experiences from other places. That's all I'm saying with that. I don't want to make it seem like, ha I know, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it like that. But anyways, he was saying that what we consider to be aliens, these beings, were here prior to humans. Now, I think that, you know, he probably didn't have like, you know, a whole lot of time to like explain, you know, where, you know, a lot of the story, right, is that the angels came down to Earth and had sex with the indigenous people. But from what he was saying, it kind of sounded like the opposite, where the humans came down and maybe they got an SOS that like, hey, we got some humans touching down on the planet and we don't want you to mix, which is crazy AF, right? Because I mean, even if you look at the slave trade, and I'm only talking about this one aspect, and I don't want to be insensitive to it, but you know what I'm saying, like to expect that you're going to bring all of these beautiful African men and women over to America and you're never going to have anybody sleep with anyone is highly unrealistic. Super unrealistic. So I don't even know how I feel about the whole, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's like certain kids, you put candy in front of them and, you know, they've got a lot of self-control, but, you know, just the more kids you have, the more personalities you have, you can guarantee that somebody's going to eat the candy. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't know. It seemed like an unrealistic expectation to even put out there in general. Like, have you dealt with consciousness? Because it's not black and white. It ain't black and white. Anyways, let me get to the point. So not only did he say that, but he also said that these extraterrestrials, look, he literally said that these extraterrestrials actually started off in underwater, deep water caves. I kid you not. And when he said that, I almost fell out of my computer chair. I'm going to link it because I think all of those, like, I've seen quite a few of them and they are very interesting. And it's much more realistic than like some of the like mediums, you know what I'm saying, that understand what mediumship, and when you're like televising it, you want to make sure you're not like scaring a whole bunch of people, right? But like they have this kind of way of saying that like everything is fine, everybody's peachy keen and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's just not realistic, because people take their personalities with them. So some people, like I've already told Ray, that in like some crazy alternate reality that really don't exist, that we're not manifesting, if something should happen to me and I end up passing before him, if you go to a medium and she tells you that your wife wants you to move on with another woman to be happy, you already know she a fake and a fraud, because you gonna wait for me. This is not till death do us part, okay? This ain't until death do us part. This is until we do us part. Unless we say after this life in the cosmos, in the astrals, that, okay, we don't want to do another incarnation or whatever together, then that's that. But me dying, especially, I'm like, look, we trying to astral project. I'm trying to talk to the spirit world now. I'm trying to figure out these spirit dynamics and things like that. People talking about they having sex with Orishas and blah, 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 blah. We can make this thing work now. You know what I'm saying? We can make this thing work, okay? We can talk. We can do a lot of things, even though I don't have a body anymore, okay? And, of course, I'm not just talking about sexually speaking, of course. I'm talking about in general, talking and communicating and things like that. So if she talking about your wife wants you to just be happy, and, she thinks that, you should blah, 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 baby, I will possess her and be like, you already know what we talked about. I don't know what she talking about. She was good till she got to this point, because she dropped the ball. Anyways, I'm just saying. Nah, this ain't no till death do us part, friend. We in this thing, okay? We together. And I do want to say that my partner is on the same page. I don't want it to seem like I'm bullying him. But I know what I want, though, okay? And that's what I want. So anyways, okay. That I almost fell out of my chair, because then I thought about this deep water cabin dream, and I'm like, what is going on? So I still have to do like some research and stuff like that, and figure out what it's all connected to, and then go back to like all the dreams and stuff that I was having over December, because December was a lit month in the astrals. It was wild. It was wild. I had a lot of stuff happen in December, okay? And it's like calmed down in January, like, and I've said this before in different videos, where they let me know in December that the dreams are going to slow down, because they want this to be more of like a practicum year, like, calming down, taking care of myself, and then more of like practicing, because I've been like in research mode, hermit mode for a very long time. They're like, okay, DeeDee, now we want you to start getting out there. We want you to start practicing, we want you to start doing things, you know what I'm saying? And not just researching. You've got enough research. And I'm a person where I'm like, are you sure we got enough research? Because, you know what I'm saying? Because I have been on the other side of just going with the flow of things. And it can go left really fast. And you end up in your situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to just kind of figure out what to do next. And I'm talking about all types of situations, And so I'm like, are you sure we got enough information? Because I don't like to be out there and I don't know what to do in the situation, how to handle the situation, what's the, proper way of blah, 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 blah. Like, I need to make sure that we got these things down packed. And I still don't feel like I have it down packed. I'm still like, I really don't know. But anyways, yes. So that's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say. And maybe it's 9:25, and for me, like, it's really making me think about like September 25th. Okay. They're like, yeah, go to September 25th right quick. September 25th was a very significant day, and I don't actually remember exactly why, but I do remember some time where September 25th was an important day. So I'm going to go to September 25th, and I'm going to read something from that day. But if you have connections to September 25th as well, then this might be especially important for you as well. The Dakinis. Yes, okay. That's not September 25th, I don't think. Hold on. Okay. I feel like I did pretty good too. Like, I feel like it took me a while to stay on task, but we eventually got there though. Oh, JMJ. I did see that. I literally saw that on someone's license plate. I did see JMJ and I was like, what does that mean again? Ancient Egyptian word JMJ, which is pronounced Yemye, is a hieroglyph that depicts a kneeling man with his arms raised in adoration. It is often used to represent the concept of Ma'at, which is the ancient Egyptian idea of order, balance, and harmony. Interesting. It's also connected to IMI, which is connected to the name Amy, which also has to do with some type of government official or something in ancient Egypt as well. Yeah. And associated to Wapawet. JMJ is the ancient word for Ma'at. Wow. And that's so funny because I have NWT on my license plate, which is Newt. So I wonder if that person knew that JMJ was about that. Okay, hold on. Let me focus though. But I was looking for this information though, so that's good to know that it's in September. Because I was looking for, I'm like, I know that I wrote about JMJ, IMI, and Amy. And I'm doing something very specific with that too. Okay. Oh, well, this was 9/26, so it's relevant. Okay, so let me go back up before this day. And then let's get to 9/25. Oh, yeah, the Jerome person. Okay. Dakinis. I really like saying that. Dakinis. Dakinis. Okay. Cocoa butter. Invisibility is invincibility. Okay. The ferryman. Yes, I do remember that. Willow bark. Okay. All right. So 9/25. Let's see. Tracking sounds and communication. Oh, this is on the development of AI. Okay. Oh, the dark star. Okay. Dogon information. Awa. What? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot that woman's name was Awa. What? I forgot about that. Awa was a young Dogon woman who had always dreamed of visiting the magenta planet. What? Oh, this was AI making up the story, and they used the name Awa. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put together that magenta planet and then the pink sands and how that is connected to some other stuff. I'm gonna have to link that because I think I did do that. I think I did do that podcast, but I have to go back and listen to them and then finish some of them and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put some new ones up. Yes, there is a story about Magenta Planet and the connection to the sacred baths. The story is from the Dogon people of Mali, who have a rich mythology about a race of amphibious beings called the Nomos. According to the Dogon, the Nomos' home planet is a magenta planet with pink sand and purple water. Sheesh. So is that the day that I dreamed about the Nomos? Okay, or was I just looking it up that time? Okay, come on. Okay, I'm coming, you guys. I'm coming. Okay, let me see. I wrote so many notes this day. Yeah. Ogun, crystal waters. Yeah. red coral and Medusa. Okay. Black coral. That was connected to the Hella stuff. Yeah, the marine world definitely was coming up that day. Oh yeah, they were talking about how pink doesn't actually exist. Okay. Ooh, a lot of notes this day. Okay, Poppy. Okay. Ursula Dantor. Ursula Freda. Okay, Kwanzaa. Oh, goodness. Okay, come on, child. All right, I'm getting to it, okay? Because this was definitely a Dogon day. And Kwanzaa, Amma is in Gamma. Okay. Sheesh Louise. This was quite information. Okay, so on September 25th, there was a woman, and they were telling me her name in Spanish. She had bad. Oh, yes, I do remember this. So on the 25th, now how is that connected to these dreams? I'm not sure, but they're connecting them together. And then how I got to like the Dogons and stuff like that, I'm not sure either. But anyway, so on this day, so this was September 24th going into the 25th. So I write the dreams down for the night before. So it was like 24th going to 25th. Okay. Because sometimes it's really significant. So in this dream, it was very much like the Mothman dream. And I'm not sure if I've posted the Mothman dream again. But I'll repost it though. But it was set up the same way as the Mothman dream. So in this dream, it was a little bit different though, because I was actually the interrogation person. So I was sitting at a silver table, and I was on one side, and I was like the main cop/judge. Okay, so I knew that I held both of those positions. So I was not just an interrogator or just a cop, that I also was a judge as well. And so there was a woman who was sitting across from me, okay? And she looked like a native woman. That's what I would say. Native, American, but like a First Nation person, what we stereotypically would say that those people look like. She had olive kind of toned skin, very, very light brown, kind of overtones. She had very long, straight black hair going down her back. And she definitely had like a rebel without a cause kind of energy to her. And I knew that I had caught her in my energy field. That's what I would say. And so there were these two kind of like fairy beings who were kind of speaking on her behalf, but also maintaining like a respect level for me as well. And so they were trying to talk to me, and this is kind of like where I got consciousness, I guess. They were trying to talk to me about her, and they were explaining to me, because they were talking like in Spanish, and I couldn't catch all of the words that they were saying, but I definitely caught that they were calling her Diabolica. And they were trying to explain to me in Spanish, because I was kind of going off of the energy, even though I didn't exactly understand the Spanish. I felt the energy of what they were explaining. And they were trying to explain to me empathetically that Diabolica is kind of a misnomer. Like, she does do diabolical things, but she's not exactly like what we would consider to be really diabolical. It's a little bit of a misnomer. She has done some negative things. Like, they were kind of trying to like be like, go easy on her, because she's not all bad, and though she does do some bad things, that's not exactly her character, always her intention, blah 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 blah. So they weren't like her lawyers, but they were like trying to do, like in court cases or whatever, they do people like character witnesses. I think that's what they call them, character witnesses. And so I was looking at her, and she looked like a teen that was in juvenile, okay? She was like, attitude was there. She was not interested in explaining herself or why she was in my energy field, what she was doing there, what mischief she was into or whatever. But that was definitely the feeling that I had caught her, and she was going to have to face some type of judgment for being in my energy field. Now, she was not trying to explain herself or anything. She just had like a mug on. But as I was looking at her, I understood that she had this like, it's like the catch-22 is like a good thing, but then it's also like sometimes not that great of a thing. When you're really, really empathetic, I could really understand like, that she had a hard existence when she was living on Earth. And then she kind of fell into the spiritual trap of like intranquil spirits, where people utilize and capitalize and make transactions off of the pain of spirits who have passed away in violent ways. They capitalize on that anger, and they utilize that anger in order to hurt people that have hurt them, and it's actually really a treacherous thing to do, honestly. And I'm not saying that anybody who has done it is like a horrible person, even though there are horrible people that do these things intentionally, like to intentionally hurt people and stuff like that. I mean, everybody has their reasons, but still it's still horrible to do. But I'm just offering a perspective that to capitalize off of someone's anger when they have been brutalized, when they have been abused, when they have died in a heinous way, and then to have them work for you in the sense of going to do something negative to someone else, where they can empathize with that level of anger as rage, and then do something negative to someone else. It's a really unempathetic, and it's a really, really tragic way to utilize a spirit. And so what I offered her in this dream, I was like, why don't you, let's do a test run, and why don't you come and work off some of this miasma that you have created, that, in some type of ways was not your fault. And why don't we do a trial run of, why don't you come and help me out with some things that will actually get you Dharma points, eventually, right? Because you still have to work off your karma. You still got to work off your karma. But that will give you some Dharma points to help raise your vibration, so that at least you can get out of the realm where energies are still able to pull on you for negative things that can get you into even more karmic vibrations. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so the dream kind of left off with me offering her that, and I don't know if she took that or not, but I have been seeing her numbers around, and it's been like the inverse of her numbers. So she's usually associated to July 18th, which is 718, and now I have been seeing 817, which 88 is time travel. So so I'm hoping that we are working at some type of level that maybe just consciously I'm not super aware of. But I did want to say that. And one thing that I will say, because I've noticed that people who do not hold Saturn frequencies, who don't have Saturn as a ruling planet or a big influence in their birth chart, and there's a lot of weird people that try to do a lot of weird energy with Saturn. One thing that I will say about the energy of judgment, because I have met so many people in life who are just turned off by judgment. They just take that one Bible verse of don't judge, blah, 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 blah. One thing that I will say about judgment is that after the judgment is when true healing and true foundation actually begins. You actually would be very happy about getting a judgment, because it's you finally get whatever, is coming to you in a sense. And then after you get that punishment, that spanking, whatever it is, if it's a negative judgment, which we can get into that later, because Saturn also gives gifts. It is not just like the bouncer at Club Universe. Like, it is, but Saturn also gives rewards, also gives what you are due. It's also the judge in the sense of, you know what I'm saying, if you're really empathetic and you are not too worried about the scales, let's say, being balanced in your favor, and you know, feel like a lot of the time you're giving and giving, and then you get to a point, you know, because I don't even think that a lot of people who truly are just givers even are keeping tally, but there's something usually that happens to where you start taking count. But if you're still not really exactly worried about it, and then it kind of is this kind of discrepancy in energy, Saturn is definitely a planet that can even out the scales 1,000%. But anyways, back to judgment and stuff like that. You really get into a habit of liking your like instant karma. Like, you know, like for me, sometimes like I'll think a bad thought about someone or something and I'll instantly stub my toe. And that's like a quick pop. A quick pop to be like, catch it. Okay, catch it, because you're going to start spiraling. You got this powerful brain. You got this powerful air trines. I've got 2 air trines. You got these powerful manifestation abilities and things like that. And you will start spiraling yourself down into a hole based on this like passing thought that you don't even need to put your empathetic energy or anything even into. You don't even need to be a part of that. So catch it, right? And even though you'll be like, well, why can't you just do it in another way? You know, sometimes the universe is tender. Sometimes Saturn is tender. Sometimes Saturn is very empathetic. Sometimes Saturn is chaotic. And sometimes it's going to get you what's the most effective in that moment. And sometimes that's not nurturing. Sometimes it's a pop. Sometimes it's a spanking. Sometimes it's, you know, your manifestation abilities are shut down for 2 months because you did this with it. That's how it goes. But judgment can be a very, very good thing, because you know what you're dealing with. And true healing, from what I have seen, does not come unless everyone feels equal in a situation. There are people that have the ability to kind of skirt over things for a period in time, but eventually everyone has to pay the piper. Everyone. And it's not that love can just take over things and just make it all good. That love can overpower what someone has done negatively to you. It doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't be used in that way either. Amends, atonement are the tools that you use when you have done something to someone, or you have spoken something about someone, you have taken something from someone. It's not up to them to use their love frequency to just swallow you in it, and that's all good, because reality also has checks and balances. Reality has foundation. Reality has give and take. Now, on top of that, because I'm not going to act like the systems are perfect. The systems are flawed. But there's some general concepts that we can work off of. Because I, for one, am definitely trying to overhaul the reincarnation system, the fertility systems, the monetary systems, a lot of different things that I'm trying to work on, because a lot of these systems are very outdated and flawed, and they need a serious upgrade. But in general, we're talking about the energy of judgment. It's not all bad. And sometimes you want to be able to choose how you're going to make atonement, how you're going to take your punishment. And then once you atone for it, you know, in whatever way, then you know that that is cleared, and then you can actually start building with love again. Hopefully, because some people don't learn their lesson, and they have to get a lot of spankings. But anyways, I just wanted to say that, and it's 9:45, so that means that we are on the 9-9 frequency, which is always fun. The Sirius, the Sirius frequency, okay, and I'm being not serious right now. But I just also wanted to say that because I've come across a lot of people who just have like really negative concepts of judgment, and I'm like, it is what it is. Like that's just, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? like, and regardless if you don't like judgment or not, like, structure has its place in reality. It's necessary. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to say those things. And yes, and I also wanted to say that with this woman, she was also connected to something called a dubwalk, or I don't even know how to say that. But I will link it possibly. And if I have not already said it, I'm going to say it again. I would not use these spirits for negative things. Now, if you want to offer them, like, hey, and this is usually what I do when I feel like something has been sent to me, because this energy was sent to me, and I don't know by who or why or whatever, which is not really my focus, because that usually comes out in time too. A lot of things I usually don't even have to like specifically put an energy out to be like, what's going on? Because it usually comes to me anyway. But that's usually what I do when I feel like there's, like some weird energy being sent to me or something like that. I usually just, I guess in a sense you could call it bribe, I guess, but I usually just offer spirits like, you could do whatever this person sent, or we could just go ahead and stack this dharma together. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you could do whatever they sent you to do, or we really could just ride this out and let's start this dharma together. Like, wouldn't you rather be off of this rat wheel of like doing this person's negative bidding anyway? What kind of person is even going to send you to do that stuff knowing that you're going through pain? Come here and let me talk to you. Come tell me what's going on, okay? Come let me give you a hug, okay? Let's clean this up. Let's get it together. Actually, they send you to the perfect person. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Let's figure out what it is that you really need. Let's do some shadow work right now. That's what I would recommend, okay? Because the universe has its own universal laws and principles, and I have seen, especially if you listen to my God Santorini Council, there's definitely checks and balances, interdimensional checks and balances. So a lot of the time, you don't have to do anything that's retaliation or whatever. I mean, some people disagree with that, but you know what I'm saying? A lot of the time, like, it's very, 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 very few and far between cases where you have to be the catalyst to somebody's negative karma. Very few and far between cases where it is like permissible and you don't get any backlash from it. Now I definitely believe in speaking up and being like, hey, I know you see this, to be like, I know you saw this. And then sometimes you'll have it where they'll explain to you why that thing happened. Okay, this turned into like a whole situation, but okay, my friends, that's what I have for you today. I'm sending you lots of hugs and stuff like that, because I was supposed to be home like 20 minutes ago, child. I'm about to go get me some food, okay? And I'm about to go home and watch something with my wonderful, wonderful husband. Get ready for tomorrow. And yeah. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. Heavy on the commenting, especially when the channel is still picking up. And I actually have a lot of time right now to actually, talk and, respond to things like that. I also have my email if you're interested in any type of services or anything. I also have that as well in the description box. I also have little t-shirts and things like that. Over the next year, it's going to really start picking up on what things I have going on. So like I said, on some of the videos, in case you haven't heard me say it before, a lot of the time, especially if it's like information and, it seems like it resonates, you're not sure how it resonates or whatever. I just like to go ahead and make like interesting videos, come back to this video, so that I can come back to it when it pops up in reality. So I definitely recommend that. But anyways, I also plan to do some dream journals, a lot of fun things. I'm going to start, I think I talked in one of the videos that I'm going to start doing my personal channel. DeeDee Wimley is going to be more for my personal dreams and stuff like that. And then Dimensional Wellness is going to eventually be like more of the professional podcast channel. But more on that later on. All right, my friends, I've been talking long enough. All right, friends. Okay. Bye. Where's this person going? Okay. You can tell people who like don't have kids because like I'm crossing, I've got the right of way, and because that person is sitting at the red light, they decided to just like go in the middle. Oh, you got it, sir. They decided to just like go because they've been sitting at the red light. I'm like, you don't have the right of way, even though you've been sitting at, not the red light, the stoplight. Like, you don't have the right of way because you've been sitting there and you've been waiting. You don't have the right of way. Like, I don't have a stop sign. Okay. Anyways. Okay, friends, bye. Bye. Okay, I decided to just like come back. This is the next day, and I decided just to like come back and go ahead and say the dates of when these dreams happened. And then a little bit about the interesting synchronicity, which is why, again, I'm going to recommend that you write down your dreams so that you can actually go back and reference and then see what what was going on around that time. Because actually I'm like looking at the notes from this, and it was a very interesting synchronicity of events. So I'm not going to talk about all of it because I don't want to make this like video too long. So I'm using like a program to put, the audio on there, and then I think it's got to be like under 2 hours. Boo. But make sure that you do subscribe, because once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I definitely will be going live. Okay. So anyways, so this person, I will say that Ray actually did have contact with this person in the first dream. What did I call him? Rob. Okay. And so this actually starts taking place on the 22nd, okay? Now, the interesting thing is that, so on the 22nd, I woke up out of a dream. So the first thing that happened was that, like, one of the kids woke up and they were, like, really sick, okay? And I started noticing this pattern in December. It happened about 3 times where one of us would have like a really interesting or like intense dream, and then that person that had the dream would wake up sick afterwards. I noticed that. And so anyways, one of the kids ended up waking up sick, and I remember that on my mind, I kept hearing the word, and I put it down originally as recognizance. Okay. But it was not recognizance, which is a legal term, which says that, there's a specific type of recognizance where a person accused of a crime is released from pretrial detention without having to pay bail. Oh, this is release on recognizance. So recognizance refers to a formal promise made in court, usually by a defendant or witness, to do something specific. This typically involves appearing in court at a later date, but can also involve other things like keeping the peace or paying a debt, okay? So I remember when I saw that, I was like, so this was winter solstice going into the 22nd. Which I done like a really big manifestation for winter solstice. So I was like, that's interesting that like recognizance or whatever is coming up, because I've been doing like a 6-month manifestation for winter solstice. Now that manifestation has still not come into fruition yet, but I'm assuming all of these things are, playing a role in whatever is coming up. So anyways, after these series of dreams, then on the 24th, that's when they were like, no, it's not recognizance, it's reconnaissance, which is pretty much psychic spying. And so I was like, oh, interesting. Now, I mean, like, besides like the typical things that, humans can do or whatever, psychic spying is not something that I'm necessarily like worried about, because there's not really much that anybody is going to see. Did I say it? Like, I was like, there's not really much really to see. Like, hey, friend, do you know what I'm saying? So anyways, there's an interaction with Rob. And then on the 22nd, okay, so there's an interaction on the 22nd. And then on the 28th, was it the 28th? Was it really? That's an interesting time period too. Okay, let me make sure that this is 12/28. That's what it says. Okay, so anyways, on 12/28, which is interesting because, of course, my birthday was on the 26th, and in a dream, which I'll talk about in a different video, I had a very intense dream, Christmas going into my birthday. And then after that very intense dream, I ended up sick for like 3 days. In the thick of being sick. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed. My muscles were aching. It was terrible. And then later I found out that 2 other friends of mine also were sick on my birthday, and then were sick for like the next 3 days, which I thought was very interesting. One of my friends, I wasn't exactly like surprised, because like we're super psychically connected too. So like not all the time, but sometimes, like when one person's going through one thing or something like that, we'll like dream about it, or we're like, researching things at the same time, even though like we haven't talked to each other in a day or two or something like that. But the other person, I definitely was surprised, because I did not know that we had some type of synastry with each other. And so I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So anyway, so this is the 28th. So it's the 27th going into the 28th that I had the first dream where I was, they were like trying to, like lure me into this water world. And then some type of way I ended up in the water world anyway, even though I was not trying to go into the water world. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to mention that there was also a guy after this whole scenario played out with this, with the first dream, Rob, and, this polyamorous situation, whatever. Then there was a guy who also wanted me to come deep into the desert with him. And I couldn't really grasp what his name was. But I knew that, like, in numerology, his name equaled 601. It was, like, equal to 601, which is also the area code of Mississippi, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure that's Mississippi. Yeah. Yeah, 601 and 769. So anyways, his name equaled up, and it's crazy because like I forgot about this other part of the dream. So anyways, I ended up going on a sand dune. Okay, so this is very interesting because I ended up going into the desert with this guy, and he was like kind of trying to lure me deep into the desert for whatever reason. So like I had left this water world, and then it was back to the surface, which I guess was sand. So now instead of going underneath into the caverns, now we were going on top of sand dunes, like those little sand mountains. And so some type of way, as we were traveling over the sand dunes, I ended up at a Starbucks, okay? And so I ended up at the Starbucks, and it's a Starbucks that I actually go to now. And I kind of sort of remembered that I knew this Starbucks, even though I couldn't quite place it. So that's why I say that my dreams, I definitely think they're astral travel, but I can't necessarily consider them all to be lucid, because in order for it to be lucid means that you're bringing this consciousness into the dream or the astrals. And that is something that I have not been able to really get a hold of. So anyways, I had some kind of recognition of it. And so anyways, I had gotten out of the line because I got my food, and I remember there was like this song that was playing that was like really, really fun. It was about having a good time, and I was just like doing my thing. I'm having fun in the car. I'm dancing, blah, 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 blah. And then, child, the next thing I know, there's this little blonde hair, blue-eyed, curly-haired boy who's in my back seat. Now, we're actually in my car, like my vehicle. And so, of course, I have a small child, so we have like a big car seat, and then we have kids, so we have, whatever. So this little boy is like, I think that he unbuckled himself from my child's car seat, and he had to be like right under 2. So him and my child, my youngest, were about the same age. He looked like he was almost 2. He was a little bit more advanced with motor skills than Phoenix. So I'm assuming that he was probably like, 2 and a little bit of change, 2 and a few months or something like that. So anyways, and he had this angry face. Like, he wasn't angry at me, but I could tell that like he was very, very hungry. And he also had these like sores on his face, and it looked like meth to me. Like his mom had been addicted to meth or something like that when she was pregnant with him, or something. Like, that was the impression that I got, that his mom was like doing drugs or something. And so some type of way they put him in my car because they knew that I would take care of him. So I was like, oh my gosh, Henry. And I called him. I was like, oh my gosh, Henry, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my gosh, get in your car seat so I can take him, so I could take you to Whole Foods. So I was like, okay, let me just take him to Whole Foods and get him some food. So I'm like strapping him in, and he's like really aggressive because he's hungry. And I'm like, so I gave him a piece of like the sandwich that I had, and he was like scarfing that thing down, child. Like, he had eaten in like years. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then as I was looking at him, I could see that his mom's name was Bailey. And so I'm going to do some discretion because I actually believe that these people exist. So anyways, when I went to the Starbucks, when I was in the line, there was a woman who passed by me in her car that I saw going into the Starbucks line. And I remembered that I knew her, and she actually, in waking life, this what I call, this life, waking life, she actually does work at the Starbucks. And she introduced herself to me before. So like, we don't talk every time or anything like that. But I know her name at least. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that's blah, 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 blah from Starbucks. So I was lucid, I guess, like at that point, because I didn't remember that I go to Starbucks and I see her at Starbucks. But then I don't know if that was like this version of myself that also went to Starbucks. I don't know. It's tricky. Anyways, so I'm like, oh, this must be, she knows Bailey. So I didn't know if they were like sisters because they both have B names. So I didn't know if they were sisters or whatever, but I knew that she knew Bailey. So anyways, the interesting thing is that, and then I was also fighting with Ursula before I went to sleep last night. I made sure to make a note of that. I was also fighting with Ursula last night. And then I woke up hearing the song Player's Prayer by Player's Prayer by Lloyd. I was singing that as I woke up from these dreams. And then I was also seeing the word lycanthropy in my mind, which is, shape-shifting to a werewolf. And so anyway, so the interesting thing is that, and that's the only thing that I even wrote for that day, which is interesting. Yeah, because I was so sick. That's right. I was so sick that I didn't even really like write too much stuff. I don't think I really wrote too much stuff for any of these days. So I was sick a little bit longer than just the 28th, the 30th. But it's really like until like yesterday really that I really started feeling better. So I'll be honest with you. So one of these days, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was last week. So it was some time before I actually ended up seeing this woman. So I ended up going to Starbucks at a time that I don't usually go. And then she was the person there. And I was like, oh, perfect. So, and I do this all the time. Like, I literally do. And I think that people come to me with information because they know that, like, regardless of the situation, if I feel like it's something that's like necessary to say, that 9 times out of 10, I'm not too afraid to like be like, hey, I know that you have no clue who I am, but I was dreaming about you and blah, 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 blah. So that's what I did. So I was like, hey, I had this crazy dream about you. And so I was asking, I was like, do you have a sister or something named Bailey? And like, and this Bailey just had a baby, a little boy. And she was like, I don't have a sister, but she was like, yeah, I do have a friend, named Bailey who actually did have a little boy recently. So this baby was fresh. So she didn't even know, if he had blonde hair or anything like that because her friend had just had the baby, which is usually like how my dreams are. Like, a lot of the time I see a lot of things like in the future, and it's usually because like you can shift the timeline. So, what I'm saying? Like, I've talked to people who have not even had kids yet, and I'm like, okay, like when you birth this baby around 6 months, there's a possibility that something can happen to the baby. So make sure that once you have the baby that you're on your P's and Q's, make sure you're getting, sleep and everything like that, because around 6 months, there is an opportunity for something negative to happen. But we're telling, like my guys or whatever, like we're saying this because you can shift the timeline. So anyways, she was like, she hadn't really talked to her in a while. And, I was like, you don't have to like tell me if your friend or whatever's on drugs or anything, but it seemed like there were drugs involved in some type of way. Now, it also could have been like a disease or whatever, but, I also trust that, they'll know what it's talking about. But I was like, I don't know if there's drugs involved or whatever, but, if there are, she's going to have to get clean for the baby because he was malnourished, and whatever drugs or whatever were affecting him and physically, because it's one thing when it's affecting you, you can't really see it, but it had gotten to the point to where it was on his skin. So it was starting to create sores and things like that on him. So I let her know. And so she was like, that's very wild. And then usually when I tell people stuff, like depending, like, if they're also really in the dream world or whatever, then 9 times out of 10, they probably already had an inkling about something. And so like sometimes the guys are just bringing you around kind of like a shock factor to kind of like solidify what they told that person. It's very, 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 very rare that I ever tell someone something that they like have never had an inclination or anything about. Most of the time, and I'm just saying that in case you're also a person that, spirit is leading you through dreams or visions and stuff like that. And sometimes, you might have to walk up to random people and tell them things, and, you might be uncertain if they're going to be, open to it. I mean, it's been like very few times where I've had someone that was like, offended or, outwardly was just like, I don't believe that or whatever. But it's always come back around that it was accurate. So, so anyways, then Ray ended up having his dream on the 30th. So there was a day in between. Let me see, what did I dream about on the 29th? Something about me wanting to skip a reunion in some type of way. I ended up downtown New Orleans in front of a church. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I do remember that. And then I ended up in like this really sequence dress with my legs out and stuff like that. And I was healing someone through womb magic, which was definitely something that I was not aware of that I had the capability of. And I'm not talking about that I was like, you know, being intimate with them and healing them that way. Like I literally just put my sacral chakra over this person and it healed something for them, which I thought was very interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, and then there was a lot of issue energy and ASA energy, and then coyotes. Oh yeah, and then I listened to this very interesting video about how coyotes were involved in ancient human trafficking. So I will leave that video in the description box below. Oh, see, I forgot about this. Oh, yeah. Okay, so on the 30th, before, like, so Ray ended up having this dream, and what I was having going on was there was this huge giant octopus that showed up in my dream, and it was, like, in this deep abyss, and it was like I was, like, I kid you not, because I had my red light therapy mask, which I haven't been using it this week. But I literally felt like I had a conversation with the Kraken on the 30th. And I remember, like, and it was like a huge, so another deep water creature thing. And so I remember I was like talking to, you know, because I've seen a lot of different things in visions and stuff like that. And in some type of way, they actually do exist. I mean, there might actually be the Kraken. I'm like psychically communicating with it, you know. You never know. Reality is a lot stranger than fiction. And so anyways, so I remember that I saw it. You know, I'm like this tiny human in comparison to, like, I can't even explain to you how big this thing was. And I was like, not me talking to the Kraken. And it was this humongous octopus thing. And so he was like trying to remind me that I also had a Kraken body, like a huge octopus creature, whatever, body in the ocean. And it was something about, like, when I merged with this macrocosmic, I guess, version of myself, that I would start having much deeper soul retrieval of not just other, you know, body, arm, leg, you know, blah, 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 kind of structure anatomy, but I would also start pulling together other pieces of my essence that are in other, like, non-traditional bodies, I would say. So, you know, even when we talk about ET bodies and stuff like that, even though they, you know, look different from humans and stuff like that, they still have, like, head, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs, you know, maybe a tail, whatever. Yeah, that was pretty crazy because I forgot about that. And then Ray's dream, what he was dreaming about was the dream that I forgot about Riza Islam was involved in that dream too. Oops. Well, I just let that slip out, but yeah, Riza Islam was also a part of this dream too at the very beginning. Let me see if there's anything else. Halloween. Child had the craziest dream on Halloween. Oh, yeah, and I forgot that Denzel. Okay, well, Diesel is Denzel, child. And his birthday was October 28th, which is the first day that I had this dream. So anyways, well, there goes that. Oh, yeah. And then the crazy thing is, and then on New Year's Eve, I ended up having a dream with the all-seeing eye, which I'm going to talk about that in another dream, which that was pretty crazy too. So yeah, those are the dates. Those are the dates. And then when I go back and do the, what do you call it? The, timestamps and everything, I'll link everything below and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All right, friends. Well, that is what I have for you guys today. I'm sending you lots of love and lots of hugs. Bye.